Is life only suffering? What is self-victimization? What is a Bob moment?
Not original thoughts, Luke. These are from Sadhguru, the man I follow in India, Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu in the state. And he says that we are naturally four things: naturally happy, we're naturally peaceful, we're naturally loving, and perhaps most importantly of all, we're naturally seeking, we're looking for something, right? And so I think that it's very easy to sit back and say, poor me, self-victimization, I believe it's called, poor me. I lost this opportunity. I always tell the kids about Bob, and they always laugh. Bob was kind of a fictitious figure in a sense. I had this girlfriend, I had this female friend, didn't sleep all night, and the next day I was going to ask her to become my girlfriend, and I ran up to her in the school, and she said to me, Leon, just a moment, I want to tell you something. I said, great, what, dear, what? I met a boy, and I'm waiting for, and his name is Leon. Didn't come. And his name is Bob. Bob. So I think we all have our Bob moments as people. Should I allow that to break me? The answer is no. And Bob doesn't have to be in this kind of relationship. Bob can be a failed business, a failed exam. It's endless. Look, the excuses we can use. Poor me, I was raised in a small little village, in the end of Canada. Poor me. I mean, it just goes on. I'm a certain size, I'm a certain color, I'm a certain proclivity, I think we better grow up, as they say, and realize that it's really get down to work, baby.
What is the meaning of the sparkle of life?
I don't think life actually has any value. I think it has no value at all. I mean, it's just life. You're one of, 7.8 billion now, I was reading the other day. We're at, this amazing amount of human lives on the planet. And so you're just a part of the herd. But so you yourself have to give your life value. And we, of course, intrinsically all have value because we have the spark of life. But you have to open your being and get to work, right? Period. And I think that once you open the door, you're filled with the energy of life, magicalness, the sparkle of life. But if you leave the door closed, I mean, everyone's got a cousin, a friend, they were a great something. They're a great painter, but they never painted. Or they're a great poet, but they never published. Or they're a great musician, but they didn't finish. And everyone's got this. This is die empty, as die empty Todd Henry's statement again, right? And so I think it becomes very much a responsibility of the self, right? The old people now, I talk a lot about old people because they, in a sense, we always hear the statement, if I could do it again, I would fill in the blank, as I said recently in one of my blogs. And it's true, fill in the blank, but they've not filled in the blank themselves. And whose fault is that? It's their fault, look, their fault. I have no sympathy for old people that have lived an unrequited life, and they have, I hate this word, but I will use it, regrets about what they could have or should have or would have done. It's too late. Finished. You're going to die. End of story. Don't trouble young people with these visions of falsehood, right?
Is practical training more essential than philosophical discourse for many people?
Well, a couple of things. One is that I think we should encourage the complexities in our young people, because then they realize that life is an imaginative process. It's not clearly defined. I'm born, I run through it, I die, right? They realize that there's lots and lots of options associated with life. Now, some people do not like to think, period. And that's not a bad thing. It's just they don't like to sit back and reflect philosophically on why they're here. They like to do things. They like to build things. They like to build houses. They like to build cars, etc., right? And these people are not thinkers, they can go to technical school. I mean, the university is not, ideally and traditionally, is not a job training place, right? And yes, there are specialized schools associated with the university. There's a medical school, there's a dental school, there's a school of economics, but the core liberal arts college out of the Middle Ages was only created to encourage critical thinking. Thinkers, that's it. Now, will those thinkers benefit the society? You hope so, through their thoughts, because you can reflect on what they've thought about. But the vast majority of people don't want to do this. Look, they want to go to work, right? I have a cousin that's a plumber, and he's a very, very successful, wealthy man. Nice guy. I like talking to him, right? He's not going to conquer the world. He's not going to come up with new philosophical concepts. But is that a bad thing? I don't think so. It's just different, right? And so Germany is the model that's always held up. They have about 23% of their population go to university. The rest are in the trades. And Germany's they got 4% unemployment. Gosh, they're doing something right, right? Even Taiwan actually has 4% unemployment. So obviously Taiwan must be doing something right too. But the kids now are suffering because a lot of them go to university and they have no idea why they've done this. And they're not thinkers. They should have been in the trades. They should have learned a skill, right?
Is life full of options?
You know, look, if you go back to the traditional liberal arts colleges in China and Canada and China in the West, all of these things, you know, they're all the same. And they were schools that talked, right? Talked about ideas, concepts, worked it through, right? And because of the technology is really, in a sense, it's like a television. It's giving you an image back, you know, but it's really sucking more out of you than you're actually getting from it, right? And so I think that the blindness is being produced in the sense that they don't realize that they can see. But to see, you've got to take your glasses, your black glasses off. You have to. And see the beauty of life, the opportunities of life. Now, this comes back to the thinkers and non-thinkers. The non-thinkers should get to work. Many years ago, we used to have a man who used to come here at this old house, and he would come and he would do things like remove walls and replace windows and et cetera, et cetera. Look, I could never do this. Never. But the man was not a, quote, I hate this word, but I'll use it. He was not an intellectual, but he was very good at what he did. So why would he be any different than a person who was a quote-unquote intellectual? He shouldn't be, right? Let's take a doctor. Doctor is a trained technician, and the good ones also have an aspect of philosophy associated with them, so they can analyze, you know, your disease as well as treat it, you know, physically. But there are, however, some doctors that are just, they have a terrible quote-unquote bedside manner, but they're good at the technical side. Now, which is a better doctor? And you would tend to think that the doctor who can talk to you as a human being is a better doctor than the clear technician, right? So, you know, there's lots of debates in this area, right? But I think, once again, the university is not a job training institution. It trains you to think. And can you use that thoughtfulness in the world? That's another question. Maybe not. First job, the guy asked me, what can you do? And I said, think. Philosopher, I'm trained as a philosopher, right? And he said, think. You're hired. They hired me because I could think. But I thought I was just lucky, to be honest, right?
What is the meaning of the climbing the mountain metaphor? Why must I always try again if I fail? Why is success in life based on action?
Well, imagine life is like climbing a mountain. Look, what do you need to climb a mountain? In my experience, you need some training, right? And then after you've trained, then you have to start out. And you start out and you climb to base camp, and then your first level and the second level. But your image always is to climb Mount Everest. So let's say, for instance, you're at the first level, it snows heavily, you're forced back again down to base camp. So you are obviously starting again. But you've broken your trip. your voyage into these numerous levels that you have to achieve. So what I'm trying to suggest is not original either, but what I'm trying to suggest is that if you, like, your value in life is not the arrival at the summit, it's the journey along the way and the relationships that you make along the way. Everyone says that in the mountaineers, they're not interested in conquering. It's nice to conquer the mountain, but they're much more interested in the friendships and the maturity that's come to them, through experience, sophistication, and what have you. And I think that's what I mean here. Life is action, isn't it? If I don't act, that's the action of inaction. So I'm forced to act. But I think we lull ourselves a little bit now with this internet and cell phones, whatever, that we don't have to act and things just will magically come to us. And I always wonder, almost in a conspiratorial sense, you read about someone out of the blue has won $10 million, $20 million, $100 million. And I've never met these people, but what it suggests is I could get lucky, never have to work for money, and it would be given to me. But that's just fantasy, of course. It's just not real. Maybe state-sponsored for all you know, right? But you've got to get to work. Get to work. Work accomplishes magical things. It takes you to a certain point, right? Ponce de Leon, looking for the, maybe in his Apocrypha that he was looking for the fountain of youth, right? Maybe not, but whatever he was looking for, he discovered Florida, and they did all these various things. So any great explorer has, Christopher Columbus on his way to China discovers North America, right? South America, right?